morning. Once again, this is our second lesson for this week. My name is Robinson, the teacher of English, Class 8, Apex School, South Sea. Now, I gave some work yesterday, as we had agreed, and this work was mainly number 1 up to number 25. That is what we call the assorted grammar of English. I'll go direct to the first part, and that is the broken passage or the clause test, where you have number 1. Not long ago, a kitten was tied in dash bag and then flung into a canal. Now, there are multiple choices here, depend on the order of adjectives. The words given, we have the word small. We have another word which is plastic. And our last word is black. So in the order of adjectives, these words have a given way of following each other. We have the normal one, the one that most people know, which is noshakon, and that is what I'm going to use because that's what's allowed in primary level. So we have the first one we look at is number. Number, the number of items, the quantity. How many are they? Are they 6? Are they 7? Are they many? Are they few? That now comes to number. Then we have 2, opinion. Opinion. What is your view of this thing? Is it beautiful? Is it ugly? Is it handsome? Anything to do with your view, we call that opinion. Number 3, we'll have the size. The size, how big is it? How small is it? Is it minute? Is it large? Is it humongous? And so on. And don't confuse the word elegant, with the word humongous. Now, elegant does not mean its size. When you say elegant, you mean how nice does it look. So elegant will be under opinion. It will not be under size, but humongous will be under size. Then we'll go to the next one, which is the shape. Next we'll have the height. We have the age. Color. Now, these are just but a few of the words that you expect when you're dealing with order of adjectives. Now, from shape, height, age, color, I know there's no problem when it comes to that. Origin. Origin, sometimes we will use the word make. For instance, if you say Mercedes-Benz, this is a make of a car. So, from that you know that a Mercedes-Benz comes either from maybe Germany, from Japan, from a country. So, basing on the make, you'll know where it's manufactured. That's why you still put it under origin. You can also have something like Toyota. All of us know that Toyota comes from Japan. So once you see the word Toyota, then that should come to your mind. That is the make, and that will come under origin. Then we have the material. Is it plastic? Is it wooden? Is it made from Manila paper? And so on. Then we have the purpose. What is the purpose of that item? Is it a sports car? A sports car, the purpose will be mainly to race in sports, to compete in sports. Then, of course, we have the noun, which is not really an adjective. Of course, noun, it just comes at the end. Good. Then we go to the end. So our answer, we want to look at these 3 words. Small, plastic, black. How are we going to order them? Small, of course, that will be size. So we come to where we have size and right there, small. Where we have size, right there, small. Then you come to the next one, plastic. That's the material. You look at in your order, where do we have material? Go right there, plastic. Then black, of course, that is color. Then you look for the word color and right there, black. Then looking at the list, how we've listed number 1 up to number 11, you ask yourself, how do they follow each other? Of course, the first one is small, next one is black, next one is plastic. So our answer, for that matter, according to the work I had given, will be a small black plastic bag. Then you say, not long ago, a kitten was tied in a small black plastic bag and then flung into a canal. It dashed if it had not been dashed. So the answer for number 2 will be under what you call conditional clauses. If it had not been, that means we also have to look at the conditional clauses. So we have the first condition called likely condition, second condition called unlikely condition, and then the impossible condition. Now, just to highlight how these conditions appear. The likely condition. Likely condition, also called probable condition. This one, we must have first the condition clause, which is if. What follows if will be present tense. Some people call it simple present tense. And then what follows will be either will or shall. Will or shall. That is the likely condition. Now, if you look at this, if it had not been, that cannot be our likely condition. So we have to go to the next, which will be unlikely. Unlikely condition. What does this one state? If plus past tense or past simple tense plus would or could. Let's look at the part again in the broken passage. If it had not been. Once you see the word been, it ceases being past tense. It goes to the next condition, and that is the improbable, the impossible condition, which is the improbable or impossible. The impossible condition, where we have if plus either past participle or past perfect, then plus would have or could have. Would have or could have. Now, had not been, that one falls under the past perfect or past participle. Had not been, because of the word had. When you see this helping verb had, it changes it. Because you can only have a helping verb if you have two verbs. One the main verb, the other one the helping verb. Now let's look at this. It dash, if it had not been dash. It, we have a, would die, will die, would have died, could die. So we look at this. Which one fits this part? It will be would have. Where we have would have died, then that becomes the impossible condition. So our answer is it would have died if it had not been dashed by a kind soul. If it had not been dashed, where we have the options there, we have picked, seen, collected, rescued. When something is in danger, when an animal, a human being is in danger, there's only one thing that happens. You have to form a rescue mission. You don't go and pick the person. You don't go and collect the person. You don't go and just see the person. You have to rescue the person. And that's why, because this kitten had been thrown in a canal and you have to take it from the danger, then our answer will be our answer will be rescued if it had not been rescued by a kind soul. Then number 4, which is a relative pronoun, which of course will depend on is it human or non-human. Relative pronouns. We have a word like who, we have whom, we have which, we have whose. Just but to mention a few. Now, who is used for human beings or a personified item. especially animals. If you give an animal like a hare, you give it a name. For instance, you give it a name like Robin. Then you say, Robin, who had been working hard in the garden, but that time you're referring to maybe the hare or the rabbit. That one means you have personified it. But as long as it's not a human and you want to use it relatively, then who will be used for human beings, whom will be used for human beings, and whose will also be used for human beings. We can say, who is in class, whom did you send, then whose book is that, then under which, because an item, say the stick which was broken, or the stick that was broken. So which is used for non-living things. Therefore, we want to look at this. A kind soul dash brought it to the society. A kind soul. So a soul is a thing. It's not a person. It's a thing in a person. Therefore, our answer will be which brought it to the society. A kind soul which brought it to the society for the prevention of cruelty to animals. In brackets, we have SPCA. I'm sure when you met that word, SPCA, you're wondering what that word means. That word, the initials stand for Society for Protection and Care for Animals. This is an organization that ensures the animals are not treated in a cruel manner. That as far as that part is concerned. So it will be not long ago, a kitten was tied in a small black plastic bag and then flung into a canal. It would have died if it had not been rescued by a kind soul which brought it to the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, SPCA. Next part. The throwing of dash kitten is just one dash of an act of cruelty towards animals. The throwing of dash. So our next number, which is number 5, we have tenses. And here tenses, we are referring to these. So, because of the tense we are dealing with here, we are talking about the throwing of dash is just one. So, is just one brings it to the present tense. You are talking about something that is happening, the actual event. So, we say these, because it's one act. These, the throwing of this kitten is just this kitten because it's one kitten. But if it was to be in the past and say the throwing of that kitten was just one dash of an act of cruelty. So our answer will be these, that is THIS, these meaning singularity in the present tense form. Plural of these will be these in present tense form. What about the past tense? These will be that, and then plural will be those. That cat was thrown. Those cats were thrown. Now, let's look at is just one dash of an act of cruelty towards animals. Do we say it's just one incident, instance, incidents, or issue? Now, when it comes to such a question, you have to understand that we are looking at real definition of these words. For instance, the word incidence, that's the frequency or rate of an undesirable happening. Throwing this kitten into a canal. Is that a desirable thing? No, it isn't. So we have incidents. So these incidents, just one incidence of an act of cruelty towards animals. What if we picked an incident? What's an incident? Incident is an occurrence which is dangerous or exciting. Dangerous or exciting, an occurrence which is dangerous or exciting. So, yes, it's undesirable to throw a cat into a canal, but is it dangerous to throw the cat? Will it harm you? Will it bring the harm to you? The danger is to the cat and not to you. And that is why we pick on incidents as the right option. We look at the next one, which is number 7. Dash month, the SPCA, I told you the meaning, dash with animals that have been ill-treated by their owners. Dash month. So do you say every month or each month? Because those are the two close multiples that were given. We have every month and we have each month. Now let's dig deep into it. Every month, it means without exception. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, all the way to December. That's every month. There is no exception. You don't skip a month. But each month, we are referring to one out of many. Each month, maybe in every year we have each month this and this thing happens. So are we comparing 1 to 2 or one amongst many? No, we are talking about every time, every month. So here there's no exception, be it January, February, all the way to December. So our option here will be every month the SPCA dashed with animals that have been ill-treated. So dash with animals. Again, number 8, we are looking at something else. Use of deal with as a multiple choice, or cope with, then we have survive with, then we have survey with. So what happens with this? An organization. An organization deals with a given maybe group of things. For instance, if you're talking about UNHCR, it deals with refugee problems. If you're talking about UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, it deals with matters to do with the environmental protection and or conservation. So here we have animal protection. Then it means we're going to pick on deals with and not cope with, because the only way we'll have picked on cope is if something is trying to live or to survive or to manage. For instance, you say, will you cope with that situation? Will you cope with that situation? Will you manage to survive in that environment? For instance, if you are thrown into an area like Kijabe, which is quite cold, and then you're told, will you cope with a cold environment? So cope with, it means you have to manage an environment which is not very pleasant. You can't be told, will you cope with this, maybe the sweet cake? No. You only cope with something which is undesirable. And there, we are not talking about undesirable thing here. We are talking about protecting the animals. Therefore, the answer will be deal with animal protection. So, deal with animals that have been ill-treated by their owners. A common dash of animal abuse. If you look at the options that were given, a common dash is a common occasion, a common type, a common forms, a common situation. Again, a common, singularity. A common. From the article a or the terminal a, whatever will follow will be in singular form, and therefore we look at, we have occasion, we have type, we have forms, and we have situation. Here, we only have two clause destructors, and that is forms and type. And because forms is in plural, then we are going to pick on type. So, a common type, if we were to pick on forms, we will say a common form of. Therefore, a common type of animal abuse occurs dash these pets, occurs. So we are talking about here again, occurs dash these pets. That moment it happens. There are not two things happening. Therefore, the destructor, while these pets are dashed by their owners, will be wrong. Unless there are two things happening at the same time, you use while. While I was singing, so and so was dancing. While I was cooking, so and so was reading. So two things happening at the same time, then we are going to use while. But for this broken passage here, we don't have anything like two things happening at the same time. We just have animals being taken care of. And so what are you going to pick on? We pick on when, because those are the only two clause destructors that were provided. Therefore, the answer will be when. When these pets are dashed by their owners. Number 11, is it neglected, abandoned, left, or ignored? When these pets have been left without care, what do we call that? We'll not say abandoned. What is to abandon? To abandon is just to leave. To leave it just there. What is to neglect? Is simply not to give proper care as you're supposed to. To neglect. So these animals are neglected. Therefore, we will say that a common type of animal abuse occurs when these pets are neglected by their owners. Some pet owners do not bother to dash their pets when the poor animals are ill. So what happens when the animal is ill? Is it take care of, tend after, look after, or look at? Look at this, take care, and we put take care. Then we say, some pet owners do not bother to take care of their animals. Grammatically wrong. Unless you say, take care of their animals. Let's go to the next one. Tend after the animals. If you are wondering what to tend is to take care of course. But now, tend after is informal an old-fashioned way of saying care. Are we looking at informal English? No, we are formal. These are formal kind of curriculum, this formal learning. Therefore, we're not going to use an informal term to help us answer a formal broken passage. And therefore, what are we going to do? We'll pick on look after. What is to look after? Is to take care of. And so look after will be our correct answer. Do not bother to look after their pets. Remember, that's a phrasal verb. Look after. Look after their pets when the poor animals are ill. By the time these animals are brought to the SPCA, they dash usually infected diseases. So they, of course, you are taking them. By the time you are taking them there, they are. You don't say they were. By the time you are taking them, they are. There we're just looking at the tense. They are usually infected with. Here we are looking at something else that is on prepositions. So